realized I could make a $10,000 in donations by allowing them to destroy the park. Woohoo! Everything in my life was going great until, what's this? Branch. Oh, someone hurt my feelings.
We also made some merch. Anyway, this was all super auspicious because I swear to God, earlier in the year, unrelated to this new beef, we realised John Barilaro had this palatial multi-million-dollar estate that he Airbnb'd as a side hustle to his other gig, being the leader of a state. We thought, surely this is the dumbest thing you could do, right? Like, especially since the other half of the time, it's not Airbnb, that's where he lives. So we thought, wouldn't it be good if we film a video on the history of all the shitty things he's done, but film it at that Airbnb? So that's where one of our biggest videos, Bruz, comes from, which was released in September of 2020, which I've got to say, it had a very good twist, because as you've probably gathered, or haven't because you're that dumb, I'm filming at your estate, and I want you to be the first to know that I f***ed in both your guest houses.
Oh, Stooge, we tracked the video. It's coming from inside the house.
You wouldn't expect this from me, but I highly recommend this video, links in the description. Obviously, the video caused quite a stir, front page news in fact. Unbeknownst to us at the time, and it was later revealed by New South Wales Parliament after that video came out, John was demanding the police conduct a bug sweep of the property. Something that would cost the taxpayers 10 grand, despite the fact we paid almost that much to stay at the property. Just imagine how stupid and entitled it is to be Deputy Premier and lease one of your primary residences out to anyone. I never considered doing this before, but say a property developer wants a favour, they can very easily get material to blackmail you.
I have an unlicensed casino in my basement. Please don't tell the authorities. Also, if you wrong me, you end up in this secret room.
There you go, some unreleased footage from Bruz. More on that at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Anyway, after the release of Bruz, John became increasingly agitated by the videos we were making. One in particular seemed to really bother the Barilaro family. It was called The Italian Club. That was released in November of 2020. It was an expose that detailed how John and his dad, before politics, became the directors of their local Italian club. They then racked up a bunch of unsecured debt and as directors sold the clubhouse property for pennies to a company they directed and owned shares in, thus becoming the landlords. They then jacked up the rent against themselves, forcing the Italian club to go defunct and leaving them with the property as directors of the club they had already sold to themselves for a bargain. Later they sold that property, formerly owned by the Italian community, to developers, making a $700,000 profit. Wow, now that's a migrant success story. And if that's all too complex, full video is linked in the description. But in short, it was just heaps dodge. In another video, I called Barilaro up and attempted to ask him about allegations surrounding him and extramarital affairs. Turns out, John's intimate relationships would eventually come under scrutiny in a corruption hearing concerning his boss's intimate relationships, but that's a story for another day. I didn't know this at the time, but these videos caused John's office to contact the New South Wales Police Force just days after their release, specifically the Counter-Terrorism and Special Tactics Command. New South Wales Police then set up a dedicated strike force to put surveillance on us, a YouTube channel. That's right, in Australia our terror police go after YouTube channels. It was called Strike Force Wyargin. What the f is Wyargin? Why couldn't they have just called it what they were targeting? Strike Force Big Cock. I told you this was a bizarre story, but it gets stranger. At the same time this is happening, John's also contacting defamation lawyers, who we have also confirmed were at some point in contact with the strike force surveilling us. The defamation lawyers draft up this absolutely schizophrenic letter detailing all of John's grievances with the videos I made, including that I called him a greasy little scrotum. He needed to clear the record on that one, let everyone know that's not true. This letter gets sent to me just a few days before Christmas of 2020, and because unlike you lucky Americans, we don't have your First Amendment in this country, someone can very easily take you to court for calling them a stupid fat idiot, which was something else that the lawyers whinged about in this letter. The first few months of 2021 went by, and they were pretty quiet. unbeknownst to us that a police terror unit is surveilling us on behalf of the exposed to the tunnel. But we know we have to respond to this nutty letter at some point, so what better place than a university forum that Barilaro is speaking at? We pay him a visit. He tells us to f*** off. This is all detailed in the video Bruz Eternal, which goes through all of the contents of the legal threat we got. The video has now been taken off of YouTube, I think because we advertised the greasy little scrotum key rings we were selling. You can still watch that video on our website though, links in the description. Obviously, this exchange jolted John and his greedy defo lawyers into action, and they filed in the federal court, leaking this fact to the press before we even knew. I had to find out in the press. What am I? A murder victim? Jesus, it's like the night crawlers coming before the cops. Oh, and side note, for his lawyers, he got attorneys who at the time were representing alleged war criminals and a barrister who was just prohibited by court from acting for a client, another one of Australia's most colourful politicians, because of a conflict of interest. Only the best. Around this time, I'm told by my neighbours that while I was away on tour, the police came and visited my house. I thought, that's quite bizarre, so I get my lawyer Mark to call up the police, who at first deny that there was any visit at all. And only after Mark quotes a time and date does he get transferred to the Counter-Terrorism and Special Tactics Command, specifically the Fixated Persons Unit, a unit set up in the wake of a deadly siege in the centre of Sydney. Basically, this unit's MO is to stop lone wolf terrorists. People like, I don't know, Joker or Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver. That's literally me. The police officer there informs Mark that he had a warrant for my arrest and he was at my house to arrest me, but I wasn't there. So the police seemingly had time to think, walk back from the brink, and were apparently awaiting legal advice. Anyway, back to the lawsuit. Because we hadn't been served yet, we decided to have a little fun and do what is perhaps the greatest Friendly Geordies gag in history, because we hadn't been handed the documents. We are on the elevator up to Mark O'Brien Legal to ask to be served because it's been a week exactly, and the press knows all about what I've done wrong. But I don't. Let's find out.
I serve you here with the originating application, the statement of claim and the judgment steps.
Oh, thanks so much. And oh no. So we've been served, and what they gave us, in my honest opinion, is another whiny crock of shit that was not only riddled with delusional and paranoid readings of silly jokes, but had straight out factual errors, like mistaking their own client John Barilaro for being a federal politician instead of a state politician. Absolute geniuses. For Americans, that's like lawyers acting for DeSantis or some other governor thinking he's president. Just embarrassingly stupid mistakes for a normal person, let alone lawyers. Not much happens for about a day. Then on the 4th of June 2021, my producer Christo was walking back from uni. He was already planning on meeting our lawyer Mark that day, so he had the documents on him. Yet on the way back, he bumps into Barilaro himself, attempted to hand back the documents to tell him about the mistake, you know, being listed as a federal politician. Barilaro basically took no notice. Then, only a few hours later...
No, I'm allowed to film it, though.
No, you're not.
No, I'm allowed to film it.
No, you're not.
Could,
You're under arrest.
could you
I'm
film
allowed
this?
to film
Can
it.
you film this, Mum?
You can film it. That's
Okay.
okay. But you're not allowed to.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to. No, Mum, you can take my... No, you can take my phone. No, take my phone. Take my phone. Don't you...
What the f? Yeah, they're giving away evidence and trying to run away with it. Yeah? Don't run off with evidence. Okay? Who are you doing this? You're gonna win. Jesus Christ. I'm coming.
Film this. Make
What
sure
the
you don't while I film it. This is bizarre.
This is not Australia.
Yeah, it's not that.